your life, and there is a strong possibility you have not yet recognized it for what it truly is. Doors are opening into circles you were never formally introduced to. Invitations are arriving from spaces that previously felt entirely beyond your reach. People of influence, vision, and rare caliber are suddenly appearing in your environment and treating you as though you belong among them, because you do. This access did not arrive by accident, by luck, or by the fortunate timing of a single opportunity. What is opening around you right now was engineered by forces that have been watching your quiet transformation with extraordinary precision and intention. In the entire record of spiritual and cosmic history, access of this nature, sudden, multi-layered, and arriving from multiple directions simultaneously, is among the rarest events a soul can experience in a single lifetime. Most people who desire elevated environments spend entire lifetimes chasing visibility without ever understanding that access is never granted from the outside, it is unlocked from within. For the universe to simultaneously open multiple doors into higher circles at once, a soul must have crossed a frequency threshold so significant that the elevation becomes structurally inevitable. Ancient wisdom described this convergence as the moment when inner preparation finally exceeds the resistance of outer limitation, and the walls simply dissolve. Think carefully about the internal shift you have been moving through, quietly, without announcement, and largely without external recognition. The moment you stopped performing for rooms that couldn't appreciate your frequency. The decision to invest in your mind, your craft, and your character, even when no opportunity appeared visible on the horizon. The choice to maintain your standard in private when lowering it would have brought faster, cheaper results. That internal evolution, gradual, disciplined, and entirely self-directed, was the exact preparation the universe required before it could responsibly place you inside the elevated environments now beginning to open. Your access is the direct product of your invisible, uncommon, unrelenting inner work. You were never developing in isolation, even when it felt that way. From the first moment you made the decision to evolve beyond your previous environment, both spiritual and strategic forces turned their attention toward you. Darkness monitored your ascent and consistently introduced distraction, comparison, and self-doubt, precisely calibrated to make you abandon your development before it reached the threshold required for elevated access. Divine intelligence simultaneously observed every hour of quiet study, every boundary you enforced to protect your growth, every moment you chose depth over shortcuts. Both forces understood something you were still discovering, that the version of you being built in private would one day be impossible to ignore in public. There were multiple moments across this season where the integrity of your development was deliberately tested. An opportunity arrived that would have accelerated your visibility, but required you to compromise the standard you had been privately building, and you declined it. The environment presented itself that felt elevated on the surface, but carried a frequency beneath it that contradicted your growth, and you trusted your discernment and walked away. The comparison arrived, packaged as motivation, designed to make you abandon your lane for someone else's timeline, and you absorbed it without redirecting your energy. Each of those decisions protected the authenticity of your development and made the access now arriving spiritually legitimate rather than prematurely granted. When higher intelligence completed its evaluation of your internal development, the consistency, the discipline, the frequency of your private choices, the classification issued was uncommon in the most significant sense. You were identified as a soul whose inner transformation had genuinely outpaced its external environment, creating a spiritual imbalance that the universe is now structurally obligated to correct by elevating your outer circumstances to match your inner reality. That classification carries weight across dimensions because it is issued rarely and only when the evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. The beings assigned to oversee your trajectory looked at the full record of your quiet evolution and determined that your access to higher circles is not a gift, it is a debt the universe owes you. At the precise moment your inner frequency crossed the threshold required for elevated access, Something shifted in the divine realm that had immediate consequences in yours. The archangels assigned to the stewardship of your path witnessed not just the person you had become, but the full architecture of sacrifice, discipline, and quiet faithfulness that built this version of you. God observed the complete record, the seasons you developed without applause, the growth you pursued without guarantee, the standard you maintained without an audience. What was witnessed in that moment was not ambition or talent. It was a soul that had genuinely, thoroughly, and irreversibly prepared itself for the weight of the environments now being unlocked. Following that divine witnessing, a decree of repositioning was released into your timeline with full cosmic authority. The environments that were previously closed to your frequency are now being instructed to receive you. The people positioned in the elevated circles now entering your life are being spiritually prepared to recognize your value before you have spoken a single word to demonstrate it. Every season of invisible development has been officially credited to your account, and the universe is now distributing the return on that investment across every dimension of your external reality simultaneously. This decree is not contingent on your performance. It is a structural correction, the universe aligning your outside world with the inside world you have already built. The identity you carried through your season of quiet development, someone still becoming, still working toward, still waiting for external confirmation, has been permanently superseded. What you actually are is an access carrier, an ancient soul, encoded from the beginning with the frequency required to move through elevated circles and transform every environment you enter by simply being fully present within it. You did not accidentally stumble into higher spaces. You were architecturally designed for them. Every layer of growth you built in private was not preparation for a single opportunity. It was the construction of a permanent frequency that makes your presence in elevated environments not just possible, but spiritually necessary and cosmically ordained. With the activation of your repositioning comes the full understanding of what you are assigned to carry into the elevated spaces now opening around you. Your mission is not to be impressed by higher circles. It is to import the integrity, depth, and standard you built in private into environments that desperately need that frequency. You are being sent into influential spaces, not as a student of their culture, but as a carrier of something they have been missing. The access is not the destination, it is the deployment. Every room you enter, every network now including you, every influential relationship now forming, is a strategic placement designed to introduce your frequency where it will produce the greatest transformation. Because the decree of your repositioning is now fully active, the material dimensions of your elevation are beginning to manifest with increasing speed and precision. Financial opportunities embedded within the elevated circles now opening to you are beginning to surface. Collaborations, partnerships, and resources that were only accessible through the networks you are now entering are starting to move in your direction. The credibility you built through invisible development is now being recognized and rewarded by people with the capacity to accelerate what you have been building alone. What arrives materially in this season will feel disproportionate to the effort of any single moment, because it is the cumulative return on every private investment you made across every season that appeared to produce nothing. As you move through the elevated environments now opening around you, something remarkable will begin happening to the people who have been watching your journey from a distance. Your access will dismantle their resignation. Your elevation will challenge every story they have been telling themselves about why certain doors remain closed to them. Without a single motivational word, your repositioning will become evidence that silent development produces real, visible, undeniable results. People in your circle will begin investing in their own inner work, not because you instructed them to, but because your trajectory made the return on that investment impossible to argue with. Your elevation becomes their permission to believe that their own quiet preparation is also building toward something real. You are not the only soul crossing this threshold right now. Across the planet, thousands of people who spent seasons developing in invisibility, maintaining integrity without reward, and building frequency without applause are simultaneously crossing into elevated access. You are part of a global cohort of souls whose inner transformation has reached the critical point where the universe can no longer contain their expansion within their previous environments. This network does not advertise itself. It reveals itself through synchronistic encounters, unexpected recognition, and the uncanny sense that the people now entering your life were always supposed to be there. When you meet these souls, the depth of immediate understanding between you will confirm that your elevation was never meant to be a solo journey. If this message found you today, it was not a coincidence your algorithm generated. It was a delivery precisely timed to meet you at the exact moment your access is beginning to accelerate. Your soul needed to hear the truth of what is happening named out loud so that you receive it with full awareness rather than dismiss it as fortunate circumstance. If you recognize your journey in these words, leave 777 in the comments and signal to the universe that you are fully conscious of what is being activated in your life. Share this with someone still deep in their season of invisible development who needs to know their preparation is not wasted. Subscribe so every message calibrated to your frequency reaches you without delay, and stay, because where you are being taken next will require every layer of who you have quietly become.